Turn on the news.
This is a story about AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
AI.
And everything is AI. The app on your phone, AI. The thing that wrote that email, AI. The robot that's supposedly coming for your job, also AI. For completely different machines. One tired little word doing all the work. Because there is no single thing called artificial intelligence. There are at least 4 of them, and they fit inside each other like a set of nesting dolls. Open one, a smaller one is sitting inside. Open that, another. And there's a 5th doll everyone's obsessed about. The only problem? Nobody has ever managed to open it. Because nobody has built it yet. I am Dr. Subhajit Nag, and this is Straight, a channel built on single idea. You don't need to write a line of code to understand what's actually going on inside these machines. Stick with me for this next 10 minutes, and 4 words people throw around like confetti are going to lock into its place. Then I'll show you the one that's still missing. Start with the biggest doll, artificial intelligence. The phrase is old, older than the internet, older than the home computer. Small group of scientists gathered at Dartmouth College in the summer of 1956 with an almost reckless proposal. The thinking itself could be pinned down precisely enough for a machine to copy it. That's all AI ever meant, a machine doing something we would normally file under intelligent. Playing chess, diagnosing a patient, following a chain of logic to a conclusion, and for its first few decades, AI barely learned a thing. Humans wrote every rule by hand. If the patient has a fever and rash, suggest these 3 diseases. Thousands of rules typed out one line at a time. The machine never worked anything out for itself. It just followed orders very fast. Impressive. Until the world handed it something the rulebook didn't cover. And the real world does that all day long. So, open the AI doll. Sitting inside is a smaller one, machine learning. This was the flick that changed everything. Instead of a human writing every rule, you had the machine thousands of examples and let it work out the rules on its own. Your spam filter is the version you use every single day. Nobody sat down and wrote, if the subject line says you have won a prize, bin it. The filter read millions of emails real people had already marked as junk, found the patterns by itself, and now it catches spam nobody ever described to it. That's the border between the big doll and this one. Plain AI follows the rules people give it. Machine learning writes its own rules from data. The fraud alert when your card gets swiped 2 countries away. The songs your streaming app keeps guessing right. All of it lives here, and none of it is deep learning yet. We haven't reached that goal. Open machine learning, and the doll inside is deep learning. For a long time, machine learning still lived on humans for one job. Somebody had to tell it what to look at. To spot a cap in a photo, an engineer first had to describe a cap. Pointy ears, whiskers, the texture of fur. The machine only knew what mattered because a person spelled it out. Deep learning threw the crutch away too. It's built from artificial neurons stacked in layers, very loosely inspired by the brain. Show it a million photos labeled cat, and it figures out for itself what a cat is. The early layers notice tiny edges. Deeper layers fold those edges into ears and eyes and whiskers. The deepest layer simply know. The moment this stopped being a theory was 2012. A neural network won a famous image recognition contest by such a brutal margin that the argument was basically over by morning. Your phone unlocking at your face, voice assistants understanding what you say, a car reading the lane lines, all of it sits inside this doll. Now, the smartest doll, the one that detonated in 2022. Generative AI. Everything up to here was about judging things that already exist. Is this spam? Is this a cat? How likely is this fraud? Generative AI does something genuinely different. It makes things that never existed before. A paragraph, a photograph of a person who was never born, a voice reading words it was never recorded saying, ChatGPT drafting your email, Mid Journey painting a picture out of a single sentence. That's this tool. And it lives inside deep learning. The generative AI you actually use runs on those same stacked layers of neurons, just trained to produce instead of to sort. So lay them out. The biggest doll is artificial intelligence, the whole dream of a thinking machine. Inside it, machine learning, where the machine writes its own rules from data. Inside that, deep learning, where it works out what to pay attention to on its own. And right at the center, generative AI, all of that horsepower aimed at making something new. Four dolls, each tucked inside the last. Which brings us to the doll everyone is actually fighting about. And the first thing to get straight, it is not a smaller doll hiding inside generative AI. Generative AI and artificial general intelligence share three letters and almost nothing else. Here's the twist in this whole story. Those scientists back in 1956 were not dreaming about a better spam filter. They wanted a machine that could think across everything, learn a brand new subject the way a child does, carry what it learned in one place over to a completely unrelated problem, cope with a situation nobody ever trained it for. General intelligence. That was the original goal right from start. And the field reached today by walking in the opposite direction. Narrower, more specialized, one task at a time. Even the most powerful systems we have, the ones that write code and pass exams and hold a conversation, are still missing pieces of a genuinely general mind. They don't really learn on the fly the way you do. They don't reliably carry understanding from one field into another. Two step past what they have seen and the cracks start to show. Artificial general intelligence is the name for closing that gap. What system at human level or beyond, across the full range of things a person can do, not because we trained it for each task one by one, but because it can actually generalize the way you can. In the nesting doll picture, it isn't the next doll inward, it's the outermost doll, the original 1956 dream. Finally carved and actually alive, and nobody has done it, not yet. That isn't me playing it safe. It's just the honest state of things. Some of the sharpest people in this field are convinced we are only a few years away, and that scaling up what we already have will quietly get us there. Others, every bit as sharp, think we are missing something fundamental. And that no amount of bigger ever turns into general. Both camps are betting their careers on it right now. And one thing isn't in doubt, the biggest technology companies on earth are pouring fortunes into being the one that builds it first. The empty doll is the most expensive prize in the history of computing. And right now, nobody can solve it. There's even a doll past that, artificial super intelligence, a mind beyond every human who has ever lived. But that's a story about a machine we haven't built, reaching for one we can barely picture. So that's the map. 4 real dolls and one empty outline. But there's a crack opening up in this whole picture. And it's the most important thing happening in AI right now. Generative AI, the doll at the very center, only ever does one thing. It generates. You ask, it produces. It writes the plan, and then it waits. The real frontier isn't a smarter generator. It's AI that takes the plan and acts on it, that picks up tools, makes its own decision, recovers when something goes wrong, and keeps pushing until the job is finished on its own. There's a world of difference between a mind that can describe how to find someone and a machine that actually goes hunting. And the clearest way I have ever found to feel the difference is a true story, a decade-long hunt for the most wanted man on earth, where the line between generating a plan and executing one decided whether he was ever found at all. that's the next video. Come what the sport dolls turn into something that moves. I'll watch you there.